right? So now what I want to demonstrate, so that's the action framework enabled. I like to, whenever I show the action framework, I like to show the other side, right? So I land here. There's opportunity to embed our dashboards very easily and make them applicable to the context of what we're looking at. And we can do that very simply by, let's create a very simple dashboard. We're going to look at my ops data, starting over again. And then we're going to look at the sum amount, and we're going to group by, we're not going to do any grouping. We're just going to look at sum amount. We're going to look at count of opportunities. We're going to look at, let's look at the average deal size, and let's look at how long deals have been open, and maybe even what's the average time that deals have been open. So here I'm going to showcase a couple things. I could have split these into multiple queries, but I create one lens that I'm going to clip to my dashboard. And now I'm going to drag in some number widgets, and we're working quickly here. So I'm not going to label these things, but I'm just going to quickly show. I drag this onto the number widget, and I go ahead and clone this a few times. And so now I, position these however I want. And with this one, actually, I apologize, let's do one more enhancement before we clone. Live demos. Let's go ahead and shorten the number. That looks much better, right? Now let's clone it. There, I've cloned this number widget. And I created the query with multiple different measures, and I did that by design so that now, instead of sum amount, here I can be count of opportunities, and this one can be what's the average amount, what's the average of open age, and then what is the average open age, right? So this is some interesting metrics about all of my deals, which is not so interesting in itself, but you're going to see in a minute how this can become much more interesting. I'm going to go ahead and save this one, and I'm going to call. I've embedded a few dashboards, so hopefully I have not named any embed now yet. Good habit to get into if you're embedding your dashboards. Think carefully about which application you are putting them in, because the users need to have access to the dashboard and the data set if they're going to look at what you've embedded. So now I've created a very simple dashboard. I should probably label these better. Let's go ahead and, instead of sum of amount, this is count. And instead of sum of amount, this is average amount. And this is total open. And this one is average open. Go ahead and save that. Also can use the S shortcut key to activate the save. You see that, you don't even see anything, I just hit S. Right. So now we have a dashboard that we want to embed. So let's go ahead and go back to our analytics tab here. I want to embed this on the account page. So the easiest thing for me in the Lightning interface is go find an Abbott account. And for those of you who are still on Classic, this is still applicable. You can embed in Classic. It is definitely easier to demonstrate. So now in Lightning, so now I'm going to go ahead and edit the page. And if you're new to Einstein Analytics, you may not be aware, we used to call our product Wave, and there are some artifacts of the Wave name. So this is dragging an Einstein Analytics dashboard on. And so here, I'm going to drop it here on the account page, and you can see we look at what you've most recently used your Embed Now. The Embed Now dashboard is the one that I was most recently looking at, so we find that in the menu. If that's not the right one, you can pick from the drop down. So here I am looking at Abbott, and if you remember, this is the total of all the deals. So it's definitely interesting to have a dashboard embedded, but it would be much better if it was applicable to the account that we're looking at. So how do we do that? I am going to have to look at some JSON code, but I've conveniently already created that. This is the information that I've highlighted is what will allow us to embed this dashboard, right? If you have not seen JSON text configuration before, kind of bear with me. You can do some research on that if you want to learn more about JSON. Even if you haven't seen it, hopefully you can kind of get from the way that I've tried to indent this and lay this out that this code is going to be applicable to data sets. The data set that we're going to be applicable to is my ops data. You can tell that's the one that I created the dashboard with. The fields on the data set that we're going to utilize are the account ID name. Now, the next one is the selection of dollar name. So what this is saying is the dollar name is going to be the name value of whatever object the user is actively looking at. We're going to trigger a selection on that. And then we're also going to perform a filter operation. So wherever the account ID name matches the incoming name of the object, we're going to activate that as our filter. So we can copy this, and please keep in mind there's a add filter section down here. We avoid that. We paste this directly in the text box here, which is small. It's only one line, and it formats everything to one line. So I highly encourage you to find a good JSON text editor. I like mine. It allows me to spin and hide the details, so it makes it a little easier for me to understand what I'm working with. There are lots of different options out there. I encourage you to research those. But do your editing in your text editor, because know that when you drop it in here, it's going to be a little bit difficult to manipulate. So I go ahead and I hit save, and I activate this, and go ahead and close. It looks like I'd previously activated one. So when I hit back, I can see that this dashboard is now applicable just to the Abbott account. And if you remember, we enabled the action framework, so it's very easy for us to go back and test this on other accounts. Sorry, ignore this example. I'll go into my ops data. I will create, go back and I'll go ahead and vertical access on the opportunity name. I will go into some amount. What am I doing here? I'm going to find my most valuable opportunity. I will activate the action framework on that. So Butler is my most valuable opportunity. I will open that record. And when I go to his account, even there, I can also see the dashboard I've embedded, and you can see that it's applicable to the Watts 685 account separate from the Abbott 358 account. So definitely very valuable resource to embed these dashboards in here. If folks have any questions on the syntax here, definitely please post those to the Trailblazer community, and we'll make sure we get those answers out to you. All right, great. So thanks for following along on that example.